Welcome back to The Real Accountant. Today, we're going to take a look at some of the issues around accounting for inventory and the impacts of the current coronavirus situation. We're going to explore how accounting is about decision making and the communication of business information, which means it has a major impact on your life. We know that businesses account for their inventory using inventory cards and rules like FIFO, but the role of the accountant goes far beyond just keeping a record of inventory going in and out of the business. Accountants need to perform analysis and make a range of decisions around concepts like determining costs, selling prices, production levels, and also consider ethical matters. The current coronavirus crisis only adds more complexity to these issues. Let's take a closer look at some of them. Applying the lower of cost and net realizable value rule can be quite complex. Let's take the example of a clothes store trying to calculate the NRV of a limited edition t-shirt during the coronavirus situation. Low consumer demand might mean the sales price needs to be discounted, and some additional costs may also need to be considered. The store may need to spend more on advertising their products in order to drive consumer demand. The cost of distributing goods from warehouse to store might also increase as it becomes harder to find truck drivers to transport goods and distribution systems become more overloaded. Staff working in retail stores might also need additional protective and cleaning equipment like hand sanitizer or gloves. As an accountant, you would need to make a judgment on whether these costs should be included in the NRV calculation, and this isn't always an easy thing to do. Take the example of the protective equipment. We could make arguments that it either should or should not be considered as a selling cost and therefore included in our calculation. Depending on the decisions you make as an accountant, you can have a real impact on the value of this store's t-shirts and the value of the company overall. At the same time that a lot of businesses see the NRV of their products falling, others see it rising. You only need to look at supermarket shelves over the last couple of months to see goods like toilet paper, rice, and pasta flying off the shelves with people panic buying. With this higher consumer demand, we know that sales prices and NRV rise. Importantly, the lower of cost in NRV rule does not allow the value of inventory to be written up. But this situation does open up a range of other complex issues for accountants to consider, such as setting selling prices. Over the last couple of months, some supermarkets have introduced unique pricing schemes, such as one charging $5 for one packet of toilet paper, but $100 for a second. Almost all stores have also introduced limits on the number of items that customers can buy at once. Making these decisions is hard, so what might an accountant consider in trying to make such a choice? On one hand, you want to maximize the profit that your company makes, and this happens from selling the highest number of goods at the highest possible price. But importantly, you also need to think about ethical considerations. You might ask yourself if it is morally right to make people pay $100 just for a pack of toilet paper. You might also consider that imposing purchase limits on these basic items might disadvantage the more vulnerable people in our society, who may not be able to shop regularly. These are hard questions to answer. There are also long-term business considerations to keep in mind. If you charge customers huge prices now for basic goods, in a year or two, when things are hopefully back to normal, they might not shop with you anymore. The accountant doesn't just think about what's happening in a business today, but is always looking forward to what the future might hold. As you can see, accounting for inventory is not so straightforward. In the real world, there are a range of ethical and business factors to consider, and it is your job as an accountant to decide what to do. Thanks for joining us on The Real Accountant today. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.